Welcome to the Coast to Coast podcast, brought to you by Play Picks and the Lines, coming to you from the West Coast. Josh Lander, joined by my guy Nate Weitzer on the East Coast, and we have our player props video up for you guys here on this Wednesday night slate in the NBA. A couple games to choose from, as we will have each night moving forward. Make sure you are liked and subscribed to that page. Continue to follow along as we have each and every playoff video with a game video for you guys, as well as these player props as well. Also want you to head to playpicks.com. Make sure you're checking out Nate's great work on there with some best bets and player props all over the place for these NBA playoffs. Also got plenty of MLB content going up each and every weekday, so make sure you are following along there. Also want you to head to thelines.com. Make sure you're using that props tool we have for you and shopping those lines for the best NBA player props odds out there. Also head to play.thelines.com if you'd like the opportunity to win a $25 Amazon gift card. Just head over to that NBA Daily Pick'em Challenge. Go ahead and get all those right, and we will send you that $25 gift card. And as always, if you do still need a FanDuel or DraftKings account, head to fdpicks.com or dkpicks.com. Find those listings in your area, such as what we've got for player props tonight. Nate, let's get into it.
Yeah, with no Joel Embiid here in game 2 for the Sixers, you got to like Bam Adebayo to keep controlling the paint. 12 boards over just 34 minutes in game 1. Now in the first half of the last 2 games, he's gone for 19 and 16 with 7 assists. So doing work early in the Heat as a team had 24 boards in the second half of this game 1, with the Sixers going completely cold from deep. I mean, they were awful from deep the entire game, 17%, 38% from the floor in the second half. So a lot of available rebounds. He grabbed 56% of those rebounds for the game, and Bam leads the team, has a career high 26% rebounding rate on defense. So I like the 10.5 boards, which is plus 110. Not even messing with his points and assists, which have a bit more variance than just the rebounds for Bam. But I think you can throw in the assists, 4 more assists to be 14.5 if you want. Also kind of like the odds, at least, on 2.5 steals and blocks, plus 140. Because, I mean, this is going to be a desperation situation for James Harden and Tyrese Maxey in terms of trying to get their points attacking the rim. And who's the last line of defense there after, PJ Tucker, Strus, and co. put those guys in a bad position where they have to throw up some half-hearted floater, easy gobble-up block for Bam. He had 3 blocks with Embiid sitting on March 21st when these teams played, also 22 points, 9 rebounds. So, yeah, liking his points all the way around, but I think the rebounds, blocks, steals, focusing on that end is more where we lean with Bam tonight.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, with everything you're saying, too, I suppose it's worth considering the points, rebounds, and assists for Bam. I mean, 32.5 of them. If you like some combination, of 12, if you like him to basically get the boards, that's where I would feel good then about him getting that 32.5 PRA. I do think, while his points have been a little bit more, they fluctuate a little bit more throughout the season. I think also now that this matchup is tailor-made for him to be sitting around in the paint and at the top of the free throw line and moving from there downward, right? And with real no defense against him for anybody that can handle him, whether he's going around them or through them at this point. So I like all of it for Bam. I just like him to continue to sort of control the tempo with Jimmy in this in this series. So I think you continue to look for any type of a variation of his props there. And the points scare me more than anything else. You're 100% right. So if you want anything else other than that and any combination without the points, cool. I still think you can take the points in some of them. But if you don't want to, I'm more relying on the other stats in this series with him right now as well. I'm going to go ahead and move on to a guy on the other side that the 76ers need to come through, James Harden. I don't think he will. So I'm going under on his props, 23.5 points. It still seems you're probably just not going to get a prop less than that for James Harden at this point because it's James Harden. We're going to need to see, I guess, I don't know what we'll need to see for odds makers to think that, the 16 points, 15 points a game that he's been putting up against the Heat the last 4 times he's played against them, dating back to being on Brooklyn, 15 points a game in 36 minutes. Dude, that's per 36 right there, 15 points a game. I mean, he's got the 7 boards. He's got 8 assists in there as well. But the whole point is I'm going under the points here. 41% from the field in those games, 32% from 3, which is actually pretty decent considering he's only shooting, pretty poorly from the field. He's only getting to the free throw line 5 times a game against them. And his individual offensive rating has been about 108. This playoffs alone, we're talking 19 points a game in 40 minutes a game, right? So far in this postseason for the 76ers, they played now seven games, right? So that's 40 minutes in 7 games, still putting up those numbers, 23% usage rate. At this point, as long as Tyler Hero is not guarding him, they're fine. They can't keep Hero off the floor. They kept Duncan Robinson off the floor strictly because they know if he's on the floor, then he's huntable. And they can't have one player that's huntable, or at least more than one. If Hero's on the floor, you can't have more than one huntable player for James Harden to try to find and flop around all the way to the rim. That's what they did. That's why Hero only guarded him for about a minute 20 based on switches. And then you got PJ Strus and Depot really handling things for him, keeping him to about 9 points the rest of the way. Not able to do anything in the other switches as well. When he switches onto Bam and Jimmy, you think he's in a better position? Absolutely not. So I think you consider that, this is going to be another tough, just an overall tough series for Harden, who can't get by people anymore. And they're just going to continue to lock him up in the way that they have.
Yeah, I certainly will not be taking any overs on Harden until we see some of that explosion that was lacking. I mean, we saw a glimpse of it in Game 6 against the Raptors, but really that was just setting other guys up. And yeah, the props are up now in terms of his points now that Embiid is out rather than just hobbled with a thumb injury. But it's actually kind of worse for him in terms of how much attention he gets now, especially from this Heat defense that just shut down Trae Young. Interesting that he's minus 140 to commit at least 5 turnovers. I don't know if I'm betting that, but that just shows you what the books expect from him. And I find it interesting to take Jimmy head-to-head points, Jimmy Butler plus 100 at DK to score more than Harden. So if you're saying Harden under 20, Jimmy's due for some positive regression after going 5 for 16 from the floor in Game 1, still had nearly a 30% usage rate, and he was on fire at home in that Hawks series. So look for him to bounce back.
Agreed.
I am going to that Mavs game. I am not going with Luka Doncic despite his ridiculous production in Game 1. He's at 51.5 PRA for what it's worth. But Dorian Finney-Smith, who's kind of his counterpart in a lot of pick and rolls and in a lot of, kind of the guy who's capitalizing on the extra attention that's paid to Luka and just being out there for 43 minutes per game in his last 5, which is how you put up stats. He's averaging about 14.5 points, 6.5 boards, nearly 3 assists in those games. So 19.5 PRA still seems kind of low. He's averaging about 4 more than that since Luka came back. 12.5 points, you can get minus 102 odds. He had 16 points in the opener here in Game 1 with the Suns keying in on Brunson and Dinwiddie when Luka does not have the ball. I expect more of the same. I mean, we were saying like the Suns are going to focus on those guards, on denying that penetration, and they're going to live with Finney-Smith hitting threes or, kind of creeping in on those back cuts and see if he can finish. He's been an underrated offensive player in his last 3 road games now, shooting 53% from the floor and 42% from deep, so for a 140 offensive rating. The Luka on-off splits all season, his production actually went up with Luka off the floor, which you'd expect with more usage rate all around. But his percentages were way up when Luka was playing. So that's just what I'm saying. Luka sets him up. Luka draws help all over the place. And then Finney-Smith knows how to play off him really well. Really smart player.
Yeah, 100%. I love continuing Dorian Finney-Smith. The game theory there, too, in terms of how J-Kidd plays his lineups comes into play. I mean, DFS is playing 40 plus to 45 minutes a game anyway at this point, but you add the fact that Luka's back, which means, you've got Luka and a lot more Jalen Brunson even on the floor than you used to have. You have a lack of defense, but at the same time, we've seen Dwight Powell not able to stay on the floor as long because he can't shoot. And this is all about Luka with 4 shooters around him. So enter Dorian Finney-Smith, who's got to be on the floor because his defense is always going to be there. And he is, at least a somewhat reliable 3-point shooter, going, 33% of his shots threes in Game 1. And I think, he's got to be on the floor. So you got to like
same logic. Cam Johnson at 10.5 points for the Suns. Yeah, he had 17 off the bench in Game 1. If we're going that kind of small ball, with DFS at the 4, the Suns will counter with Cam at the 4 a lot.
100%. And we've also decided that Phoenix seems to be going offense against a Dallas team that they know can't hang with them, despite Luka being able to almost hang with them by himself. The rest of the team can't. So Cam Johnson did play that 25 minutes in game one. I also like the DFS stats in Dorian Finney-Smith, just so people don't get confused. We're not talking about daily fantasy sports. We're talking about Dorian Finney-Smith. I also like him to actually even probably get more rebounds. He had 6 boards in this game, but there weren't that many to go around when the Suns shoot 50-40 from the field and from three. So there weren't, like I said, that many to go around. I think they have to regress a smidge at least, unless the Suns are just going to continue playing out of this world. There should be a few more boards to go around. And he's been getting the 18 to 20 PRA with consistency this whole playoff. So I think it's a great bet until we see that get too high for him. Another guy that I don't think his stats are too high yet, Deandre Ayton. We just saw him go for 25 and 8 in this last game. He now has 33, at least 30 points and rebounds combined against Dallas in his last 5. So, I like either 19.5 points at -102 on FanDuel, but I also really like 29.5 points and rebounds combined at -115, mostly because I went back and looked at the game log of him playing against Dallas. And like I said, especially in those last 5, he doesn't always hit 20 points, but he always hits 30 points and rebounds because he's averaging 14 boards a game against them, and more, better than 16 points. So he's already averaging that against them. His usage rate was 27% in that first game, and I think it continues to be that high. Guys like Booker getting, reaping the rewards of 8 assists by just having DeAndre Ayton, not even really just having his man pinned. He's really just got his man in a position where his back is to the basket within 7 feet, and that touch is just beautiful at this point. He's locked in, and he's going to continue to get the minutes. You can't play him off the floor. That's why he's such a valuable big. That's why they need to pay him, is because you're not going to find 7-footers that you can keep on the floor in the playoffs that consistently. There's like 3 of them, and he is definitely one of them.
Yeah, the Suns just dominated the glass in game one. Like you're saying, Jason Kidd had to go with a little more offense with Maxi Kleba. That certainly didn't help. But a 15 rebound advantage for Phoenix, 13 offensive rebounds, Ayton only 8 boards. That's surprising considering, he had 17 in 3 of his last 4 against Dallas coming into this one. So that's just a little variance in terms of how the ball bounces. I think he gets double-digit boards. I think you can look at the double-double bet for him, which is probably
it's minus 145.
Yeah, but if you parlay that with the win, you're probably getting plus odds.
Yep. Plus 126. Yep.
And I mean, it's almost a lock anyway with the double-double at this point against Dallas. So 64% defensive rebounding rate in game one was the 3rd worst mark in the playoffs thus far.
Yeah, that's actually really surprising. But that's exactly why you can go any combination of points and rebounds for him. And the style, the flow of the game last game was just offense, make shots, offense, make shots. So there wasn't as much opportunity for rebounds, but he took advantage with that high usage rate and points. So I think I like all our props today, man. I will say that. I think it's going to be another good round of game 2s here. So we will look for that. Make sure you are liked and subscribed so you continue to follow along with us as we stay hot with these player props in the postseason. And until we see you next, happy betting.
May the 4th be with you.